Good evening. I would like to call the June 12th, 2012 Longmont City Council meeting to order. This is a regular session. Could we please start with a roll call?
Yes, Mayor Coombs.
Present.
Council members Bagley.
Here.
Finley. Levison. Here. Samori. Here. Santos.
Here.
Witt. Here. Mayor Coombs, we have a quorum.
All right. Stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone wishing to speak at first call, public invited to be heard, will need to add his or her name to the list outside the council chambers. Only those on the list will be invited to speak at the first public invited to be heard. Speakers who do not place their names on that list will have the opportunity to speak during public hearing items this evening or at the final call, public invited to be heard on any of the items at the end of the meeting. So I guess the first thing is have to approve the minutes. Okay. Valerie, are there any agenda revisions or submissions of documents?
Yes, Mayor Coombs, we need to add an item to consent. It will be Resolution 2012-48. It was delivered to your homes last Wednesday. It's regarding the First and Main Transit Station Transit and Revitalization Plan. And that'll be 9G.
Okay. 9G. Is there a report from the city manager?
Mayor, Council, Dan Eamon, the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator, would like to give a brief report on the current situation relating to wildfires and wildfire potential.
Better? Good evening again. I'm Dan Eamon, your Emergency Manager, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on what's going on up north and a little bit about how it's affecting us. I certainly want to start, as I'm sure all of you do, with expressing sympathies for what's going on up north. It's an incredible tragedy when 100+ people are probably going to lose their homes, and certainly the one woman who lost her life in the fire. I won't give you all the numbers. You know, you can watch the news and get all the updates there, but I think the takeaway is this is an enormous fire. It's extremely dangerous. It's still spreading rapidly. It's going to be a campaign. They're going to be up there for weeks and weeks dealing with this. You know, at 40-some thousand acres, that's about 70 square miles. So the city of Longmont's about 22 square miles. So that is an extremely large area. And you can imagine how long it's going to take to literally dig a fire line around an area that big. So it's going to take an awful long time. They have hundreds and hundreds of resources up there, which is a management challenge in and of itself. The governor did declare a state-level disaster earlier today, authorizing some more funds basically for that. Another comparison, you all remember the 4 Mile Canyon fire. That was 6,000 acres. So this one is considerably larger. The worst fire, the Hayman fire, was the largest in history, and that was about 135,000. So it is, it's a big one, and it's an epic fire. They're seeing some incredibly extreme fire behavior up there. I know a lot of people there working that fire, and they're telling some stories of things they haven't seen since 2002. The impacts we're seeing locally are the smoke issues. I think everybody who woke up this morning, went outside, smelled the smoke, a little bit of eye burning. The Boulder County Public Health has issued an advisory, and we're posting all of those on our website and getting them out through Facebook. And we really are encouraging people to follow those. If you do have any kind of asthma issues, if anybody in the vulnerable population, you know, whether the kids or elderly, please go inside if you can. We're not going to see any moisture anytime soon. It's going to be hot and dry for the next couple of weeks, so we're probably going to see some additional health issues regarding that, and we will certainly pass along all the recommendations from our health partners on our website, and if there's anything we need to take action on as a city, we certainly will do that. The situation outside, as far as the rest of the county goes, the rest of the Front Range is pretty dire also. You know, I've been around Colorado my whole life. I've been in emergency services for about 20 years, and these are the worst conditions I've ever seen. The fuels moisture, we use a couple of different ways to measure moisture. One of them is 1,000-hour fuels. Those are basically large chunks of wood. We measure the moisture content in that, and as of this afternoon, it hit the lowest level it has hit in Colorado's history. So it is extremely dry. And what that means is if there's any kind of ignition source, the fire is going to spread extremely rapidly. So if we don't get on it right away, it's going to spread and become what we're seeing up north. And one of the takeaways for us is one of the key things in those situations is notifying people. And I want to take this opportunity to encourage all of our residents to sign up for Everbridge, which is our city's digital notification system. We'll only use it if we need to tell you about something. It's an emergency-only thing. You're not going to get advertisements or any sort of PR. It's going to be an emergency-only thing. And if you go to the city website, on the Public Safety Department page, you'll see a link to it. It's called Everbridge, and it's really easy to sign up for. It basically just asks you for your name, address, and how you want us to contact you. We can call you on the phone. Text messages work very well. You can get text on your phone whether you're at home or not. You can have 3 or 4 different ways for us to contact you, and I strongly encourage everybody in the city to sign up for that. I've got a few people that are asking me how can we help, and that's actually kind of a tricky question. The experiences we had with the 4 Mile Canyon fire is just managing donations can be another incident in and of itself. So what I would encourage everybody to do is check the Larimer County website. I think they're a little bit early on in the process to even know what they need. They haven't even gotten to the point yet where they're telling people for sure whether their homes are gone. And once they get through that initial assessment phase, they'll start to come up with a list of what it is they need. You can certainly donate money. At this time, I'm not aware of any actual other assistance they need. Please do not spontaneously volunteer. That is always a bad thing. So in the coming weeks, please check the Larimer County website. They'll probably start publishing things there. And I would also suggest maybe waiting a little bit. There is an enormous outpouring of support normally in the initial stages of these incidents, but there are people still dealing with 4 Mile Canyon fire issues that even this late in the game. As you go through the initial round of support, you're going to have needs 6 months, a year down the line if you haven't been able to rebuild your home and that kind of thing, so consider that. And that's about all I have to update you on unless you all have questions. We'll certainly keep you posted on the health stuff and anything else you need.
Councilmember Santos.
Thank you. Dan, do we have any of our personnel that's helping out with this?
We do. We have one of our brush trucks, and an overhead person went up early on in the fire, and they're still there. Hopefully they'll be released sometime soon, but at this point, that's all we have actively on the fire.
Thank you.
Councilmember Levison.
Thank you. Dan, do you know if the status with the federal response to shift additional aircraft? I read something in the newspaper that said they had to make sure that every aircraft that was available was fully booked before a next round of aircraft could be diverted, maybe from the other fire sites in New Mexico or California that are going on right now. Do you know if there's any new resources from the federal government coming?
As far as aircraft goes, I'm not aware of any. We're competing with all of those other fires, like you mentioned, and they're allocated usually on severity. And they have an enormous amount of aircraft up there right now. They've got heavy air tankers and single-engine air tankers and helicopters. I think at one point they had over 20 aircraft alone just on that fire, which is an enormous amount. And I'm not aware of any more than 16 or 17 of the heavy air tankers in the country, and I think we've got about 5. That's pretty good.
Thanks for the update.
Sure.
Well, thank you, Dan.
You bet.
Next, we'll have a presentation from Skyline Kiwanis on the donation for 4th of July fireworks display. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, council members.
Yeah, there's a that one there. Yeah.
How's that?
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, councilmen, and Madam Clerk. I'm here on behalf of the Skyline Kiwanis Club to make a donation. We have some of our club members here. I'd like to introduce Mr. Steve Conder from REMAX. If you stand up, Steve. O.J. Pratt from Pacific Event Center. Jeff McCusker from McCusker Electric. Barry Surlis, who owns a number of apartment buildings here in town. And Bill Stone from A.G. Edwards. My name is Dan Von Alt. I own Main Street Mat Company here in town. We are all local business people, proud to be part of this community. A little bit of background, we have a small club of 25 people. This project came about as brainchild of Scott Nix from Nixcavating, who's not here tonight, but we have banded together and wanted to support the City of Longmont Independence Day celebration. So our small club of 25 people actually had 5 fundraising events this last year to raise this money. And so with that, to stay brief, I'd like to present a check for $15,000 to the city for the Independence Day fireworks.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Like you like each other.
All right. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. So I guess the first person on the list, do we have no one signed up for public invited to be heard? Oh my God. Wow, I think the magnetic pole of the earth just shifted. All right. I guess we'll move to
Second reading?
yes, to second reading. So, City Clerk, can you introduce the items?
First item is 8A, ordinance 2012-32. This will be a public hearing and second reading of a bill for an ordinance making additional appropriations for the expenses and liabilities of the City of Longmont for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2012. Staff does not have a presentation on this item, but Brian McGill is here if you have any questions.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? I will open the public hearing on this ordinance. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this? No one has signed up. Councilmember Santos. Okay. Seeing if no one else, I will close the public hearing. Are there any additional items? Councilmember Santos.
I would move ordinance 2012-32.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? I guess seeing none, let's vote. That passes with 6-0, with Councilmember Finley being absent.
Mayor Coombs, your next item is, I've lost it just a minute. Ordinance 2012-33, public hearing and second reading of a bill for an ordinance amending the 2012-2016 capital improvement program. We also do not have a presentation on this. These are the items that were associated with the appropriations ordinance.
All right. Are there any questions from council? I will open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this? No one has signed up. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Councilmember Santos.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move ordinance 2012-33.
All right, let's vote. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Finley absent.
Your next item is item C, ordinance 2012-34, public hearing and second reading of a bill for an ordinance amending section 14.46.020 of the Longmont Municipal Code on public building community investment fees, and Brad Power is here to talk about this one.
Good evening, Mayor Coombs, members of council. I'm Brad Power. I'm the director of the Economic Development Department. This item and proposed ordinance follows up on the redevelopment agreement that you approved on May 8th. That's a three-party agreement between the city, the Downtown Development Authority, and developer of the Roosevelt Park Apartments project. The city agreed to consider an ordinance as part of that agreement that would waive the public building fee associated with projects that are within the LDDA area that meet specific guidelines, including being located in the Longmont Downtown Development Authority district, being a minimum of 1 acre in size, being a mixed-use project that will include a minimum of 50 units of housing and 10,000 square feet of commercial space. If approved, this ordinance would enable the public building fee to be waived for the anticipated project, and the cost would be approximately $145,000. So with that, I will conclude my remarks, and we have folks in the audience who can answer any questions, if you may have them, either now or after the public hearing.
Thank you, Brad. Are there any questions from council? I will open the public hearing on this ordinance. Is there anyone from the audience who'd like to speak at this time? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Is there any additional discussion at this time? Councilmember Santos.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move ordinance 2012-34.
All right. Councilmember Levison.
Yes, hi. I still have a problem with approving the waiving of this much of the park improvement fee. And again, it's no objection to the project, Roosevelt Apartments. I like this project. It's wonderful. I am just, I feel that we might have jumped the gun a little bit before we've had a new policy in place. And so noting the decision from the Parks Board, who also support the project, but in principle without having some other policy change, I cannot support this at this time at this amount. So I just wanted to state that for the record, and also note the unanimous advice that we received from the Parks Board to say that they didn't think that we should take this action.
Mayor Coombs, point of clarification, the ordinance that we're acting on at this point that we're asking you to consider is the public building community investment fee waiver. The parks fee will follow.
Councilmember Bagley.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I share Councilmember Levison's concerns. However, part of the things, something that we need right now is developers building high-density, quality developments. And I think that, just like we need parks, and just like we need other things in the city, right now we have a dire need for high-density residential units. And the economy right now is such that without a little bit of help, developers can't do that. And so not everybody can afford a big home. Some people need apartments. And these apartments look like a great project. They look affordable, but they also look of a quality that we'll be proud of. So I'm going to vote for it.
Councilmember Samori.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I guess just a point of clarification. They're not getting off the hook for free. They had to meet certain criteria to get this funding. And correct me, or maybe Kimberly, if you can come down and list that criteria that they have to agree to. 19 out of how many did they have to meet?
Mayor Combs, a member of council. This project hit 15 of the 29 strategic goals that we have for the LDDA, and it was an agreement that we worked on for a year, and there were certain criteria within that development agreement that you approved in May 8th as far as how the build-out would be, how many units, the parking, and so it was very well negotiated to make sure that it did meet those 15 of the 29 goals, and things were certainly worked into that as the developer was working on it.
And again, there were 5 properties that are being consolidated, and those properties were not generating any revenue for the parks. Zero. Zip. Nothing. Period. Nada. And nada. Thank you. Riyan. So to say that they should have to pay for them, even if they were redeveloped as homes or refurbished, the city wouldn't have derived any revenue for the parks, period. So I find it a moot point that we keep bringing it up.
Well, I don't know if that's quite, my understanding is if they built 5 new homes, they would get $25,000, which is about what their park fee is $27,000, so it's not, yeah, if, right. Councilmember Levison.
Just as a point of clarification, I got, because I'm on the electronic packet, I flipped to the next ordinance. So I realized that I'm voting for this one. It's the next one, but I guess with this.
Clarify the next time.
Yep. Well, the next time I'll probably buzz in anyway and say I'm clarifying. This is the one I'm voting no on. But again, I will vote for this one. I just got ahead of myself. See, we're moving so fast.
You were for you were
Against me for choice.
All right, no further discussion. I guess let's go ahead and vote. Oops. Okay, passes 6-0 with Councilmember Finley being absent.
Mayor Coombs, your next item is ordinance 2012-35, public hearing and second reading of a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 14.36 of the Longmont Municipal Code on park improvement fees.
Mayor Coombs, members of council, this ordinance is similar to the previous ordinance that you just adopted. In this instance, the proposed waiver would apply to the park improvement fee, and the fee would be waived under qualified projects under that same criteria that we outlined for the previous ordinance. The criteria remain the same. The ordinance proposes to reduce the fees for qualified projects that only apply the land portion of the park improvement fee, which was just referred to by Councilmember Samori. With that, I'll conclude my remarks on this one as well and indicate that Dale Rademacher and Kim Sugar are here to answer any specific questions you may have relative to the dedication of the park fees for these types of projects.
Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing on this ordinance. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item?
Mayor Coombs, members of the council, thank you for this opportunity. Councilmember Levison, I'm not going to try to change your mind, but what I would like,
Before you get too far, could you give your name and address?
Sorry, Cotton Burton. I'm the developer of the project that's really under consideration with respect to this ordinance. My address is 8437 Sawtooth Lane, Boulder County. Anyway, Councilmember Levison, as I said, I'm not going to try to change your mind on this, but I would like you to appreciate a couple of things, or a few things about the project. Number one is what we're doing in the project that is parks and recreation oriented. We're going to have a tremendous courtyard with pool, with outdoor barbecue, outdoor fireplace. I mean, things that the residents of this apartment project are really going to enjoy. Every unit, I believe, and if I'm mistaken, it's only by a couple of the 115, will have substantial balcony decks so that our residents will be able to enjoy the Colorado outdoors from their decks. Looking over one of the best parks in the city, Roosevelt Park, which, as far as I'm concerned, and I see it often, is underutilized. So this gives an opportunity for residents to actually use one of the largest assets the city has, even more than they have in the past. What else can I tell you about? The outdoor plaza area that we're doing as part of this project, which, by the way, the city is helping us do that as well, which I really appreciate. The fact that it's not just a high-rise apartment project, but we're creating restaurant spaces as part of our agreement with the Downtown Development Authority. We've actually got walk-up apartments with stoops on them at the street level. It's going to be an incredible project, and a project like this in today's world really can only be built with your assistance. And I understand your concern in terms of making sure that Parks and Rec has the funds that they need to operate. Of course, one of the things we face as developers is a window of opportunity. This is the right time to build this project. The delay would not be good for this project. It wouldn't be good for the city. So anyway, those are the comments I wanted to make, and thank you all for those of you who will support the Parks and Rec abatement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cotton. Councilmember Witt.
Since you closed.
Oh, excuse me. Is there any other people, anybody else like to speak from on this public hearing? Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Councilmember Witt.
I would like to move ordinance 2012-35.
Second.
All right. Councilmember Maury.
Okay, just another point of clarification. We are making a waiver on the parks fees, but they are paying what those 5 homes would have to pay if they were being rebuilt from scratch. So they are contributing $27,900 and some change towards the park, so it's not zero.
Councilmember Levison.
Yes, and Cotton, I understand and I love this project, except that when we have this specific fee goes to the larger park development, and so we're going to have over 100 units that go into the conglomerate of people in this community who we build these large parks on for soccer tournaments or cricket or any of the other large uses we have for these larger parks. It's great that it's got close proximity to Roosevelt Park. The location is ideal. However, when developers on the west side of town in single-family and multifamily homes that were built west of Airport Road all kicked in a per-door fee to build potentially Dry Creek Park on the west side as a large district or community park. I can't remember what the proper classification of that is. And that's a multi-million-dollar park that people have been participating in park visioning and developing a master plan, and we built up a lot of anticipation for that park to be built. There's a bit of a principle at stake to try to balance in a fairness issue where everyone had kicked in their $5,000 per door, and by giving this large a waiver for one particular project will set back by however much time it takes us to collect another half of $550,000, how much more that park is delayed being built. And, you know, I've heard over and over again from folks living on that side of town how much they would like that park to come online as soon as possible. So while it supports this project, the principle at stake is that we are delaying the gratification of others by the tune of how long it takes us to generate another $550,000. The other point is, though, that each of these properties, if someone beside one person had bought them and united them to develop, could each have multiple family housing on it. So there could be multi-family apartments on every single one of these properties. So to kind of guesstimate that we're getting what the minimum now exists does not recognize the potential of these properties to have some intensive residential uses already built into them due to the zoning too. So again, I'm doing this, my no vote will be on principle just because there's a fairness issue here, and I think we've not done our homework, frankly, to look at policy implications around redevelopment and how much of these infrastructure fees we're going to charge in the future. So the next developer that comes along, if they happen to build a multifamily structure adjacent to another piece of open space, does that automatically mean because they've located next to a piece of open space that that next project can take a pass on the park improvement fee? And then again, we have many more months and years developing the funds to build that park, Dry Creek Park. We want to get online as soon as possible as an amenity for the entire community. So again, I'm not against this project. I just think that we haven't really done our policy homework around addressing these issues first.
Councilmember Bagley.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I think that whenever you're looking at supply and demand, you have an issue where sometimes you want some things more than at other times. We want high-density apartments right now. And if at some point we have too much high-density apartments, someone's going to come to us and say, but it's not fair. You gave it Mr. Burden. And we're going to say, yeah, but that was at a time when we really needed high-density apartments. So I don't think that it's necessarily a question of fairness. I just think it's a question of what do we need now. I also think that the idea, $550,000 more in fees would put a kibosh on this. We wouldn't get high-density apartments. And if we were looking at multifamily units, they'd have to pay the same amount. And right now, nobody's building. The only way this becomes economically feasible is if we actually, reduce those fees. And one of the things that we've discussed both at the retreat and as a council, and I've had multiple conversations with citizens and developers and home buyers and home builders, is the fact that right now, it's just, I think unfairness comes when we're requiring the builders of multi-unit apartments or high-density apartments to pay additional fees when single residence builders don't need to do that. And so it's just cost prohibitive. It's a tariff. It's a tax, I think, on our developers. And that affects the homeless, the quality of life, all kinds of things. So I think that the way the Dry Creek Park gets built is actually we tackle the questions that you point out, Councilman Levison. But at the same time, I think that the timing is right. We need apartment buildings, and we let them proceed.
Councilmember Samori.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. Maybe Kim or Dale would want to step up to the podium or park at the podium. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
You know offhand what's the cost to build Dry Creek Park?
Currently, the cost is running about $600,000, and there may be some additional funding. We're looking at the soil amendments that are needed, and we're finding that we need to do additional amendments, so it may creep up to $700,000. Total.
Is that after the monies were contributed from the grant that we just got, or am I thinking of a different park?
No, that's correct. We did receive a GOCO grant for this project, and that does include those funds.
How much did we get?
I can't recall off the top of my head. I don't know. Do you remember?
I don't know if it's Dale Rademacher, Director of Public Works and Natural Resources. A couple things. I think the first phase of Dry Creek Park is about $3.6 million.
Okay.
And that's coming out of your park improvement fee. We did get a grant, I believe it was around $750,000 off the top of my head. So don't hold me to it. But So we are, but we're still drawing on our park improvement fee, and those are funds that we have accumulated over time in that particular fund.
So what's the total cost of the park when it's fully built out?
Mayor Combs and Councilman Samori, I believe it's in the range of 15 million plus, because that park also includes a large outdoor pool.
Right.
So we fully expect that that will be built over time. The first phase that we're trying to build is to have the maximum impact in the neighborhood to provide for what we believe are the needed multi-use fields and the cricket area. So we're trying to get those facilities built first that we think are most needed in that part of the city.
Okay, and how many other parks do we have in waiting?
We have several community parks. So we have the Sisters Community Park down in the southeast part of the city. You also have the Tice Park that the land isn't bought, but it's north of Highway 66 out on the east side of town. On the neighborhood parks, we have the Wortman Park, the Fox Creek Park, and a Clover Basin Park. So I believe there's at least 3 neighborhood parks, and those have a price. The neighborhood parks have a price tag of about $1.5 to $2 million each.
Okay, and do we know approximately how many more homes can be built to build out?
We do, but you're going to push the top of my head here. I think it's around 10 to 12,000 units that are not built yet in the city.
So if we do the math, the fees that we charge currently, and we multiply them times those homes, will that give us enough money to build all those parks?
Mayor Combs and Councilman Samori, theoretically it does, and that's an issue that we talked with you about at your retreat. Right. And we've also taken your direction that you want us to work quickly to look at the structure of the park improvement fee to address some of the issues and bring back some options with regards to what we charge multifamily versus single family. But the answer is yes. The math is there. It's an issue of timing, and it's also probably an issue of the potential escalation of the prices of building a park over time.
And other people have had to wait to have their parks built over time, right? I mean,
there are neighborhoods in the city that have waited and are still waiting, and we hear about that quite often. In particular, though, I think what we believe, and I think you're going to see that in the CIP when we bring it up to you this year, is that they first want to see their neighborhood park so that the families and the kids have a place to go play. The community parks are really more of a city-wide issue, and it's really balancing out having sufficient resources for the athletic fields and the ball fields and those kinds of things. So 2 different drivers.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, I guess we're not here tonight to redesign our park fee structure. I guess seeing no further questions, shall we go ahead and vote on this? Okay, it passes, 5-1 with Councilmember Finley absent and Councilmember Levison Desaney.
Coombs, your next item is Harvest Junction Metropolitan District Public Hearing. It's Resolution 2012-42, a resolution approving the Second Amendment to the Service Plan for the Harvest Junction Metropolitan District Number 1. Your item has 2 parts. The second one is just the amendment itself to the Public Improvement Agreement for Harvest Junction South Commercial, but it only takes 1 action to pass these 2 things.
Okay.
Mayor Coons, members of council, this item relates to a proposal from the Harvest Junction Metropolitan District to refund its current debt, its current variable rate debt with a fixed rate. In order to strengthen the credit rating of the bond that's proposed to be issued for this restructuring, the district is requesting an unlimited mill levy authorization. These proposed changes under state law from the district require city council approval. As Valerie just referenced, there's a second portion of this item. It includes a second amendment to the district service plan regarding the responsibilities associated with the construction of a bridge over Left Hand Creek on Martin Street. If the amendment is approved, the responsibility for that construction in the future will shift from the developer to the district. I will just say that Jim Manier, the city's financial consultant with BLX Group, is here, and he will very briefly summarize his analysis of the financial plan, and I'll invite him up here to do so. There are also representatives from the district as well, so if you have any questions for the district a little bit later on, they're here to answer your questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Jim Manier with BLX Group, the city's financial consultant with respect to bond financing projects. And in conjunction with the requested amendment to the service plan, the district has provided an updated financial plan as a part of the original formation of the district and submission of the service plan in its first stage. Proponents of a district are required to submit a service plan, and the City Council then makes a finding of feasibility. At this point, that's not a requirement, but it was offered, and I think appropriate for the district to bring us up to speed on the performance of the district thus far, and also help us understand what might influence the mill levy that the district might be levying in the future. Up to this point in time, the district has levied 30 mills and has paid primarily interest off of its 2006 bonds as it converts to this fixed rate refunding, and also assumes responsibility for the district's portion of the Martin Street Bridge improvements that is also part of the arrangement with the city. That will be part of the funding mechanism going forward now as well. The district does expect to see growth in the assessed valuation. The assessed valuation currently is about $19.5 million, so it's actually reached a nice point of stability in terms of build out and tax base. It has the ability to develop another approximately 160,000 square feet of additional commercial, and the pending sale of certain property in the district is also expected to give the county assessor motive to increase the valuation for the property as it exists now. So the district has shown the potential to grow that assessed valuation in the next 7 or 8 years up to another approximately a $32 million assessed value range. If it does all that, it will in fact keep its mill levy at the 30 mil limit. What we had asked to do in our discussions with the district is to see a no growth scenario, so that we've established the sort of the high end of the range of what might happen to the mill levy, and if none of those new developments or none of those reassessments are implemented and the mill levy stays essentially, or excuse me, the assessed value stays essentially flat, we see the mill levy drifting as high as 41 mills perhaps, of which 36 mills would be for debt service. So I think my perspective has been to help give you some context to evaluate the significance of lifting the mill levy cap. The cap currently is 50 mills. It doesn't appear likely that that 50 mills will ever be approached, and in fact, there's a good chance that it will stay in the 30 mil target area or in the mid-30s at least. So with that basic report, I just wanted to deliver that confidence, hopefully, that the 50 mil cap is not necessary and in fact will help the district get a better interest rate when it does its bond refinancing. So if you have questions for me, happy to take them, or if there are questions better directed at the district, we can ask one of their representatives to come up.
Councilmember Levison.
Thanks for coming back and giving us the update, Jim. I still have a lingering concern about a district who has failed miserably to file on-time audited reports. And I know that the district said that they would voluntarily look at coming up to the standard that normal metropolitan districts, i.e. cities, have for reporting, procedures through the governmental accounting, financial accounting office procedures. So will they follow through with that? And what would the impact of the sale to the Real Estate Investment Trust have on the continuing or maybe improving that on-time audited report delivery?
The district is still going to have its own board of directors responsible for the administration and the operations of the district, including the financial reporting. So I don't know that the sale of the property within the district will change that, but I really invite one of the district reps to come up and respond to the specific question about the reporting of and timely filing of financial statements.
Mayor, members of council, Alex Brown, Englewood, Colorado, advisor to the Harvest Junction District. We have actually filed with the city the 2011 audit, which was completed 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that was submitted. I don't know if you've seen that. We submitted that to the finance director, and I think, Jim, you received a copy as well. So we've completed that task for 2011. There have been internal discussions with the party responsible for attending to the filing of these reports, and they've been made keenly aware of the need to stay on schedule and exceed the schedule wherever possible.
And the reason I bring this up is that, you know, as public officials, we have some oversight, and when you have a quasi-municipal form of government in a special district operating within your city, I would be negligent in my due diligence, you know, in my responsibility in my office to not question having better performance standards when, I mean, we haven't chased you about this, but I've been aware of it for the last couple of years. And so I would just appreciate, first of all, I do appreciate you got the 2011 report in a timely fashion. And I just think that it just builds the transparency for every level of government, especially when there's so many problems right now with other special districts being bankrupt in other parts of the country, and increased scrutiny and transparency requests in the financial sector right now. So I do really appreciate that, and you know, clearing up a past problem. You've obviously jumped on it, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Santos.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, it seems that one member of council keeps jumping on this one thing. We got an explanation about this several weeks ago. It's the same explanation you just gave. So to keep harping on the same issue seems to me more of a battering of the district instead of trying to encourage the district in being timely. If there was an error, there's an error. You know, unless all of us are perfect, you know, cast that stone. You know, there was an issue. It was addressed. You guys are going to get us your reports. Great. I'll take you at your word. If you don't, then you know I'll be one of the first people to be knocking at the door. However, to keep bringing it up and up and up, I think is just more or less harping and harping. So I appreciate the explanation, and didn't need to see why we needed to have that discussion again.
All right, no further questions. Thank you very much. I will open this to the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak on this issue at this time? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Is there any further discussion? I guess I'll ask for a motion. Councilmember Witt.
I would like to move Resolution 2012-42.
All right, let's vote. Okay, passes 6-0 with Councilmember Finley absent.
Mayor Coombs, your next item is the consent agenda. Item 9A is Ordinance 2012-37, a bill for an ordinance amending the 2012-2016 Capital Improvement Program. Your public hearing and second reading is scheduled for June 26th. Item 9B is Resolution 2012-43. It's a resolution of the City Council approving the intergovernmental agreement between the City and Regional Air Quality Council for air quality planning services in 2012. Item 9C is Resolution 2012-44. It's a resolution of the City Council approving the intergovernmental agreement between the city and the City of Boulder for a cost-share agreement for the use of downloadable digital media. Item 9D is Resolution 2012-45. It's approving a grant from the Colorado Department of Transportation for the 2012 Click It or Ticket May Mobilization Driving Enforcement Campaign. Item 9E is Resolution 2012-46, approving a grant from the Colorado Department of Transportation for the 2012 High Visibility DUI Enforcement Campaign. Item 9F is Resolution 2012-47, approving the amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the city and the state of Colorado for a state aviation grant to extend the taxiway at the Van Spram Municipal Airport. And item 9G is Resolution 2012-48, adopting the Longmont First and Main Station Transit and Revitalization Plan as the regulating plan for redevelopment and rezoning, as well as a reference document to the existing Longmont Area Comprehensive Plan. And we don't need to pull anything from the consent.
All right. Councilmember Witt.
I would like to move the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. Let's vote. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Finley absent.
Your next item is general business, and it's a legislative update. I believe Amanda Phillips is here to provide you with a year-end report.
Good evening, Mayor Coombs and members of the City Council. My name is Amanda Phillips, and I am the legislative intern for the Longmont City Manager's Office. And I'm here to talk to you about the 2012 legislative session. During the 2012 legislative session, 643 bills were introduced, which was a few less than the 713 bills that were introduced in the 2011 legislative session. 159 bills were tracked by Longmont City staff. City Council opposed one of these bills, which was killed, supported 4 of these bills, 3 of which passed and 1 which was killed, and monitored 1 bill which was also killed. This translates into an 80% success rate for the City of Longmont, and I will very quickly go into how this percentage breaks down. House Bill 12-1032, concerning a continuation of forestry-related programs, was supported by Longmont City Council and was signed into action by Governor Hickenlooper on March 24, 2012. House Bill 12-1277, concerning the strengthening of a local government's regulation on oil and gas operations. This bill was monitored by City Council and was postponed indefinitely on February 20th, 2012. Senate Bill 12-015, concerning the creation of an optional category of tuition at a state institution of higher education. This bill was supported by City Council and was postponed indefinitely on April 24th, 2012. Senate Bill 12-026, concerning a state agency rule that would create a state mandate on a local government. City Council supported this bill, and it was recently signed by Governor Hickenlooper. Senate Bill 12-081, concerning a prohibition on a local government requiring the installation of sprinklers in a single-family dwelling. This bill was opposed by City Council and was postponed indefinitely on February 16th, 2012. And Senate Bill 12-002, concerning the funding of a Colorado Water Conservation Board projects. In the 11th hour, there was a special session regarding this bill, which was supported by Council. It has passed both houses and currently awaits signature by Governor Hickenlooper. And I would like to take this time to ask if members of the Council have any questions regarding the 2012 legislative session.
Any questions from Council? Councilmember Witt?
So, did you get to go down?
Both my mentor, Sandy Cedar, and I went down every other week to CML and talked about the bills that were important to Longmont and how they affected this great city and what we could do to further our continuation of making the programs work for us.
Great. Well, we're so glad that Sandy has somebody to help now. So thanks for stepping in. And I think Longmont's somewhat unique to have somebody tracking things going on at the State House. So really appreciate the time and effort, because I know it is a lot of time and a lot of effort, but to be monitoring those things on the behalf of our city, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Santos.
I was going to let Sandy speak, but
I just, Mayor Coombs, members of council. So Amanda did just a terrific job this year as our legislative intern. She really learned how to read legislation, how to understand which departments they needed to be forwarded to, and understand the impact to the city. This report to the City Council concludes her internship, and she now has a full-time job doing some marketing work for a local agency. So just wanted to thank her for her work with that.
well, and what I was going to say is thank you, Amanda, for your help, and I'm glad we got to you tonight. The last time you were here, we ran somewhat long, but I'm glad you came back, and thank you for your hard work, and I'm sure Sandy appreciates it as well as we do. Thank you.
I would also like to say you did an excellent presentation tonight, Amanda, and good luck to you.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Thank you. All right. So I guess we're at final call, public invited to be heard. Would anybody like to come up and speak? Seeing no one? The council. So now we're at mayor and council comments. Councilmember Santos.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the pleasure, as several other members of council, we got to go see the flag raising for the Veterans Memorial at Roosevelt Park. It's nice to see all service members raising their flags. The poles look very nice. I heard that, let's see here, I'm going to butcher his name, but John Kostelneck, thank you, was very appreciative of Charles Kimonides and Charles's help. Said that Charles was very easy to work with, as well as other members of staff, and getting this project done. The lights for those flagpoles will be installed here very soon. Also, along with that, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the Longmont's Military Order of Purple Heart is also collecting donations to add a granite Purple Heart marker at the memorial. Those people that are interested in helping raise those funds, you can contact Ray Athy or send a check to the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 434, and send it to 500 9th Avenue, Suite 3, here in Longmont, 80501, and write Memorial Fund in the memo line. So I just wanted to acknowledge the disabled American veterans for their help, as well as staffs, and also that there is still one more project left to go for the Veterans Memorial at Roosevelt Park. That's all.
I guess if you guys will indulge me, I'd like to read a letter that I received this week. And first off, I'm not 100% sure if it's our police officers or the Boulder County, but anyway, the letter goes, Dear Mayor Coombs, on the evening of May 19th, I was driving on Clover Basin Drive, and I was stopped by Deputy Jim O'Brien. It was dark, and I was driving with my lights off. I explained to Deputy O'Brien that I was driving a car I had just rented that day, and I suppose because the streets were well lighted, and I was unaware that the automatic lights had not come on. Deputy O'Brien helped me figure this out and how to turn the lights on automatic. He took my Georgia license and ran whatever checks deputies or officers do. He returned my license and sent me on the way. Throughout the process, he was very professional and very polite. The point of this note is to comment on Mr. O'Brien for his handling of the situation. If he is a representative of your police department, the department needs to be commended. I was visiting my daughter, Catherine Green, and her family in Longmont for the week. They have been in Longmont about 4 years, and I have enjoyed my visits here. My experience with the traffic stop has only increased my appreciation of your city. I live in Atlanta, Georgia area, another very nice part of the country, but unfortunately some of the jurisdictions here are not as welcoming as Longmont, and more likely would have escalated that traffic stop into something more confrontational, if only to be a revenue generator. I look forward to many more visits with your pleasant city. So anyway, I thought it was pretty nice to get a compliment like that. Anybody else? Councilmember Levison.
Well, next week we won't have a meeting because we're going up to CML, and I just wanted to, let everybody know that we'll be not on a boondoggle up there, but we will be working. There are some educational sessions on Tuesday afternoon, as well as a lot of sessions on policy issues that we will be facing or issues that we're already dealing with, and we'll be learning a lot about things we don't know anything about that we may not have encountered yet. But I just want to let everybody know that we'll be up there working, and we're not going to be neglecting our duties down here either. So,
Councilmember Rick?
Not a junket? Why am I going? No, I agree. It is not a junket. It is an opportunity for us. We're all citizen legislators, and so opportunity to gain education on our jobs is crucial. I also wanted to mention this Saturday we are going to be having two things coming up. It's the Pet and Doll Parade starting at 10, and also 9 a.m. is the free shred event at 140 Martin Street. So if you need stuff shredded, preferably paper, that's where you would want to go. No skateboarding. It's not skateboarding. No. So just to mention.
Councilmember Bagley.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I was just curious, I know that we had an executive session tonight, and I felt pretty comfortable where we are on surface use agreements, but I'm just curious, I haven't talked to either the city attorney or any council members or the city manager regarding, have we had communications with the COGCC, the state, COGA, anything regarding memorandums of understanding, IGAs? I'm just curious.
Mayor, Council, yes, we had the first face-to-face meeting with those groups today, and began those discussions in terms of how that works and how we put all that into play and incorporate the discussions we had on the SUA, and we're going to continue the discussions with the state.
Cool. So just kind of at the beginning of the process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, City Manager, any additional comments?
No comments.
City Attorney, any remarks?
No comments, Mayor.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.
I want to take a break.